Morning guys, Mark Ferrasci, ProTech Dog Training. Another quick yak session as I head into town. As usual, I'm always talking about something that's going on with me on a daily basis. And right now I've got 3 main dogs. I've got more than that as far as what I'm working, but 3 that I've really gotten on the front burner right now. I've got this little Malinois that was highly bred to 2 hot dogs, BRN number, KNPV dogs. Almost an ADHD with wasted drive, a lot of wasted drive. The dog's smart though, he's learning fast, but to this type of puppy, you got to keep your thumb down on him and really make sure you build on patterns and all that. And then he's going to go back up home to the owner, and you're not going to have any control of what the owner does. So a lot of times this dog will backslide and end up being a problem because they don't have the skill and the expertise that you do. So you have no idea. And you're trying to get him to come up. They're all the way in LA, so it's a pretty good drive up here. I've done a pretty good job with him. His little Malinois. That would be a dog that I'd want to have by himself, and I'd have all that interest in that instead of having multiple dogs and being taken off a center, because this dog isn't a lot of dog. He can turn out to be a good dog, but you really got to keep your thumb down on him and really keep things pattern training and really give him a good structure, or he's going to get out of control on you. And there's only so much you can do. You do your best to counsel the customer. That's what you're there for, to get inside the dog's head and give them as much feedback as possible about what they're dealing with, right? Been doing this for a few years, so I've got a little bit more ability in those areas than most people would have as far as kind of laying it out. You've seen this 1,000 times, right? So the other dog I've got right now, I've got in the back of the truck, and we're all human, right? Even being a professional, we're still human, and we have times that we make mistakes. So yesterday, I had the dog in his neutral lab at the property, Corso, about a year, 13 months of age, and he's coming into himself, right? And he has no previous training, and you know how people are, they put it off, and they finally come to a trainer when the dog is spiraled up and he's a major mess, right? This dog, not so bad, knows some of these areas, but he's still a Corso. So I go to put him in the back, and I have Dutch Shepherd that's in another crate. And it worked fine. Getting him into the crate was okay, leaving property, went to the park. Now I'm going to add another spectrum. It's a new place, new smells, new everything, and I'm going to start facing distractions, kids that may be in the park, things that are going to cause him to spiral up. It's about being stimulated, right? And what are those triggers that stimulate the dog? And so unfortunately, like I said, I made a mistake, and that Dutchie was fence fighting, and boom, face to face, and boy, that dog spiraled up. And I'm getting older. I'm not as young as I used to be. I've dealt with a lot of aggressive dogs, Rottweilers, and all kinds of dogs that I've dealt with over the years. And I was always, when I was younger, I always used to tell people there's no dog that can win against me if I've got a leash on the dog. You know, I've got total control. I know what I'm doing. Well, with this, when the fight was on yesterday, it was all I could do to contain this dog. Why? He's a large drink of water. But secondly, I'm getting older, and my stamina's not the same. I'm not in the shape that I used to be when I was a kid. So I can't take that fight on as long as I was tuckered. It was all I could do to get that dog to settle down. I had to take the leash over a fence and actually pull him back up and get him choked into that fence and put his body up against the fence to give myself a little bit of a rest and keep the correction on so that he would learn there was a negative involved, right? So, and then you can't use a pinch with a dog like this. It's like pitties and these Mastiff breeds and things like that. All it's going to do, elicit pain reaction, is going to make the dog go up in aggression, not down. Okay, so that's why we have things like dominant dog collars. You take the wind away from the dog, he can't breathe, and his mental attitude goes to a different place. It kind of goes to a panic. You put pain on that dog, and that dog's been, some of those pitties and stuff, been bred, and they come up with pain, right? So you can't use a pinch collar in that situation when they spiral up on you, okay? I've still got a pinch on him, but you got to be smart enough to realize when he spirals up to switch it to that. What I've got on him is a choke chain. I'm using a real thick choke chain as a dominant dog collar, which I did for years before we had these dominant dog collars back in the old days. We just used chokes, right? So that is what we're dealing with today. So today what I did is I just totally mapped out a whole thing, a whole situation, that I could be in control of the situation, not make the same mistakes I did yesterday, make sure that I have a good, clean slate, and take this dog into a whole nother, hopefully successful day versus the day that we had yesterday. The day that we had yesterday was traumatic. I was totally worn out and realized I made a big mistake when I had happen what I had happen, right? So just take it from me. We're all human. We all have times that we don't engage brain and we don't think, and we make mistakes. We're all human, like I said. So today, the next day you get out and you make sure that everything's a really nice, clean slate, and you're thinking, what do I got to do? Everything. So I took him out this morning, did my normal routine around property with me, and he bounces back to me, letting him have his free hunt so he gets his freedom, so we have some positive involved. Hot dogs, hot dogs, hot dogs. I'm trying to get him, he's always been he shuts him off. First 3 days I had him, almost a week, he didn't want to take anything out of my hand, right? He's one of these real stoic, tough, a lot of stature in this dog, right? So now I'm going back out to the park, and we already did a session or two at home, and now I parked my car over in a really quiet area of the property, took him over that table, onto the table, off to the table, and all I saw was that truck, and right away he wants to get in it. Why? Because he remembers all that excitement and going off to that fence fight and being an idiot, and that's what he thinks of that truck. So we did it with quiet, no dog in the back, loaded him up, threw some hot dogs into the crate. We're now traveling. It's something he's going to want to do. So we're trying to set up what? Pattern and routine, right? Now the drawback is that this is what I do for a living. So to do it for a living, you stack your deck. You put 2 or 3 dogs in the truck. You go out and you work in environmentals. You don't just take 1 dog, right? You take 2 or 3. Well, now I'm stuck. I can only take 1 because I need to work on this one individual dog. That kills about 3 hours of my day, right? Just now leaving the house about 9:30. I got up at 7, walked all the dogs around property, worked with him a little bit, and now we're on our way traveling just with him, right? So now that puts your whole cost effectiveness to hell in a handbasket, because now I can't just go out. Remember, I live way out in the boonies. So when I leave, it's a good 30 minutes into town. It's about 45 minutes to the closest environmental that I'm going to use. Today we're going to go to the park. My plan is, always what you plan is not always what happens, like yesterday. But we're going to go to the park, work the same routine. And what I'm trying to do is set up pattern and routine, with that park being my next level of distraction. New smells, new things. And I'm jumping over the tables, up and over, up and over. First thing he did was balked. He didn't want to get up on the table. So I had to jump up on the table and get to the other side and teach him he's not allowed to balk. He has to follow through it. And it's not that big a deal. He's not used to the routine. But now you're getting him used to doing it. He has a function he's got to do, and you can build on these patterns and routine. That's what it's all about. So now I'll go use the park, try to set up pattern and routine with that. Then my plan is to load him back in the truck, and then we're going to head to Tractor Supply. And hopefully, cross my fingers, there won't be any dogs there. If there is, we've got a problem, and I need to get him away from there. We're going to have to face some negativity. I don't want to. I want to set up enough positive pattern without having to go through that, and enough positive pattern that he falls into what he's already been doing at home without any, because we're going to address this at some point. We're going to have to, right? This would also be a dog. I already talked to the owner yesterday that, yeah, I sold him on a 30-day program, but dealing with this right now, 90 days. The reason being is because if you don't follow through and do what I call drive through and get to the other side, that dog is going to go home. He's going to work a little bit, honeymoon period. He's going to slide right back into what he was before. 90 days gives us a lot more of a baseboard of communication, a lot more consistency in our behavior patterns built up, that will have something to work with a dog with this kind of stature, right? So things change. We're always in a constant state of flux, depending on what's happening and what you find out as you go through the training program. We do consultations so we can try to see that in the very beginning, but you never know. You know, your instincts say, this is going to be easy. I've got it wired. You dig into it, and you realize, what have I bitten off? You know, what am I dealing with here, right? So that's all part and parcel of what we deal with as professionals. You never know what you're going to get, right? Because a lot of times people don't tell you. They keep it secret. They don't want to pay more. I made these people pay a little bit more because we knew we were going to face some aggression. Another breed, they might have an aggression problem and they don't say a thing because they want to be able to pay for less, right? Now you've bitten it off. You give it to them for a less price. But then all of a sudden you see that the dog's highly reactive, and they didn't say a word to you. Now you got to face that, and you got to deal with it. Most of the time, I'm pretty good at what I do. I can get through it, but still, it irritates me because I charge accordingly. If I've got a reactive dog and a dog with aggression, that's a liability on me that I'm going to get bit. And I did get tagged by this boy already, right? And/or when I go out in public that I have to face a fight and we have a big old problem, right? Another dog comes face to face with him, that's liability. And so I charge accordingly, and I increase my price by a little bit, a nominal fee, because I've got to deal with this, and it's about my expertise, my ability to handle this that makes me better than the average bear, that allows me to be able to do that, right? So, but I charge accordingly because of the liability. It is what it is. So, that's what I'm dealing with today. I've got Draco, the Connie Corso in the back. Like I said, about 11, 13 months old, somewhere in there, maybe 11, 12 months old. And he's all that in a drink of water. So we've just got to get in a pattern routine, and hopefully we'll have the right things happen and we'll get some success. I've already told the customer I may suggest to them a 90-day program. We may have to keep him for longer. But a lot of times people can't afford it. They've already bitten off what they've got. Remember what's going on with our economy right now, guys. Dog training is a luxury. Unfortunately, it really is. It's been that way for a lot of years. But so that being the case, with our economy right now, with what's going on, all the prices, gas prices, food prices, everything going through the roof, it's hard to survive. So you've got people coming at you and they just can't afford what you're charging. And I don't charge that much, guys. I charge half again as much as my competitors. These kids are charging god awful. I don't even know how they get it, to be honest with you. And then a lot of times they don't do the right thing to give the services the customer deserves. So the customer's paying more for less. And what's that going on? You go to the package, and the package is shrunk, and now you're paying more for less. Isn't that the way it is? And so that's kind of the way it's going on in the dog training field. These kids are charging an arm and a leg. And I tried to keep my prices down. Just recently I raised my prices. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't avoid it because of what's going on with the economy. Everything's costing so much. I've got to raise my prices to survive, But I didn't raise them that high, but I did raise them more than I usually charge, right? So that's what it is. All right, so I'll let you go. That's my adventure of today, and I get some videos of him. And I probably would like to go into a stem collar with him, not because I need a bigger stick, because you now have a tool that you don't have as much confrontation and as much domination coming from you. It's just all of a sudden, it just tap, and it happens, and you have a conditioning tool that you can keep yourself out of that equation. Not because I want a bigger stick. It's how you use the tool that matters. And with him, I have got my face in his face right now, and I'm dominating this dog. And then that creates conflict between a very stout, dominant dog. Dog nature is already stout as it is. That affects your relationship, and you want to try to get away from that if you can. And that's kind of what I want to go towards with this 90-day suggestion to them for 90 days. I want to do the best by the dog because he's a good dog. There's nothing wrong with the dog other than them not doing the right thing. So, if you are going to get a Connie Corso puppy, make sure you do the right things and you get together with a trainer to imprint that dog with food and with luring and positive reinforcement with toys and balls and all the things you need to do when that dog's developmental maturity is at a stage, then you can have it take hold. Right? If you don't, you leave the dog in the backyard and he grows into a monster, and then you wonder what happened. It's because you don't understand the nature of the breed that you've gotten. Now, Connie Corso is a very stout breed, and it takes somebody that knows what they're doing and do it right when the dog's at a young age. I've got another customer came up, and she has a 4-month-old Connie Corso, beautiful little puppy. It'd be like a Presso or any of these dogs that have a lot of stature, right? And she can't afford the services. Well, I wish I could give it to you for less, but I can't do it. I'm not a charity. I mean, I've got a lady came at me. She's 81 years old today with a lab, and I'm on Social Security. I wish I could help everybody. I really do. But I have to make a living doing what I love to do, but I can't give it away. Guys, I just can't, maybe I need to start a group class and maybe help some people out in that regards. But 80-81, there's no way that she can do the physical aspects of what's got to be done to condition this animal. She needs a professional, right? And I can't give it away. So I feel bad, but that's just the way it is. So these are the things that we face as a professional trainer, all right? All right, guys, I'll let you go. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. Look for some more videos coming of you, the Draco, the Con, and Corso. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.